By the end of this video, you're going to have a 3-step system that will allow you to induce a sleepy, hypnotic, trance-like state, which is very conducive to giving yourselves suggestions, inducing state akin to sleep, and otherwise rewiring or reprogramming unconscious belief patterns to your advantage. So let's waste no more time. Let's go into my mind map, my ever famous mind maps, from X-Mind, by the way, for those of you asking. So let me just give this a quick preface. Let me kind of set the scene here. So number one is the conscious mind is the only thing that stands in the way of essentially brainwashing yourself. So when people talk to me, I get comments, I get messages, Joseph, how do I do all this negative programming, this inner dialogue inside my mind, which is constantly self-sabotaging me? The thing you have to realize is in order for you to get to that unconscious programming, we first need to leapfrog over the conscious mind, which comprises about 30% of what we are actually using in the analogy of, I would say, RAM. Let's use the analogy of the computer, RAM storage of your computer. So we need to get over the conscious mind first and foremost. It's important to know and ground this theory in the fact that you are the creator of your 3D world. And this idea is very exciting to most when they hear it, but the truth is a little bit more complex. It is a little bit more complex in the sense that the subconscious accepts all ideas, even if the ideas are unhelpful or nefarious in their nature. Yes, it's true, you are the creator of all your joy and happiness in the world, but you are also the creator of your suffering as well, unconsciously so. Now, just to reiterate, as I prefaced at the start, and in this preface, the following techniques can be used to rewrite unconscious belief patterns, unhelpful stories we tell ourselves about ourselves. We can't be attractive to women, we can't get that job we want, etc., etc. Magnetize specific people into our lives, pardon me. Shift into different states, attract specific items, astral project, and also lucid dream. All of these are possible with this 3-step system. Now, before I share this 3-step system, it's really important for me to emphasize that number one, if you get number one correct, number 2, number 3, and number 4 don't matter. And that isn't a cheesy way to get you to stay to the end. So read number 1, and if you understand it, if you truly get it, you'll be able to do this. 2, 3, and 4, 2 and 3 help ground this practice in something that maybe will give you a little bit of reassurance, which is actually essential to 1. So I'll show you what that means in just a moment. So we have 3 steps. Number 1 is will. Number 2 is intention, 3 is breath, and 4 is some useful invitations to help this phenomenon. So let's go with will. Do not overlook this. I repeat, this is the most important step, so much so that if you get this correct, the rest does not matter. I repeat, if you fail to do this, the other steps are worthless. It is not enough to not have will and just do intention, breath, and some of the aforementioned invitations. Doesn't matter if you don't have will. You need to will yourself to get into this drowsy, light body, semi-lucid state if you are going to actualize it. So naturally the question pertains to, how does one do this? Now, the best method in my estimation is a combination of written and mental affirmations and rehearsals. However, this must be exercised from the perspective of have being done as opposed to desiring said thing. So I do have an example of this. Look at the difference between these two. Number 1, I want to get into a drowsy, suggestible, hypnotic state. Whatever words mean that state for you is important to use. The terminology of the word links to the meaning behind it. So it's really important you use a vernacular that's pertains to what you want. Versus number 2, I will get into that drowsy, suggestible state. One is a lack and weakness, the other is will and strength. It is imperative that you write from the latter and not the former. So I will get into a drowsy, hypnotic, suggestible state. It's really important that you do this with pen and paper when you are writing this affirmation, because there's a stronger neural connection when things are analog, meaning it's coordination, you're using kinesthetic with the paper. as opposed to on keyboard. There's not really an emotional connection there. Now, naturally, the next question arises around frequency. The answer to this isn't a specified numerical answer. The answer is write the affirmation as many times as it takes until you feel a positive, strong emotion with it. So it's really interesting. When you do this exercise tonight, and perhaps you do this before bed, when you're writing, you don't want things to be mechanical and kind of logical. It's all predicated on your feeling, on your emotional connection, which is intimately tied to the will. So you may need to write, there have been times I've written this 30 times, and then something changes, you switch into flow state. It's as if your mind, your body, and the pen and the paper become one thing, and you start to feel a tangible sensation, maybe the vasodilation in your heart, in your arteries, and that positive emotion kind of washes over you. And you know when that time is. I can't tell you when that time is, but once you feel that emotion, you're ready for step 2. So as I mentioned previously, if you get this right, intention and breath do not matter. But let's go through intention and breath. So step 2, intention. Your body is now charged with will and energy to get into the suggestible state. But once we're experiencing it, what do we do? This is the number one mistake everybody makes when they do state akin to sleep, self-hypnosis, unconscious, subconscious programming, okay? They find that when they get into this lucid hypnotic state, which is very, very palpable, by the way, they get overexcited, too excited. A realm of possibilities open up to them. Like a kid in the sweet shop, you want to try all the flavors. If you run away with yourself here, your intentions become very diffuse and unorganized. That's why it is imperative that you have already established before you get into the state what it is you want to do. This is critical. So, similarly to ascertaining will, I write down the intention with pen and paper beforehand. A useful trick is to combine the first part of your affirmation with your intention. So it might look like this. I will get into a drowsy, suggestible state, and I will visualize making a new friend. Okay? The point being, I think I've explained myself fairly well, but it's very exciting when this happens to you and you start going, oh, I'm going to program myself to be more attractive. Oh, I'm going to program myself to make more money. Like all these ideas start coming into your head. It'll mess you up. Find something, write it down beforehand, stick to it. Otherwise, you'll confuse yourself. Really, really important. This way your mind won't wander, it'll be single pointed in direction and focus. It can be beneficial to add more details if you struggle with something like visualization. So for example, you're using the senses here. What can you see? What can you feel? What can you hear? What can you smell? For example, I'm shaking hands with my new friends. I can feel the bones underneath my fingertips, the warmth of his hand. We're talking about similar interests. Maybe we're talking about meditation. Maybe we're drinking coffee. Maybe we're in a coffee shop together. I can hear the music. I can feel the aircon. I'm laughing. I'm feeling joyful at some funny joke I just made, right? So the more visceral that you can make it, the stronger the neural connections are going to be, because the nervous system cannot tell the difference between an imagined scene and a real one. Now, this is just for visualization, specifically stats. If those of you who are familiar with Neville Goddard, you understand what I'm talking about. But remember, as I preface, this is just one thing that you can do out of some of these suggestions here. It may be you want to astral project or lucid dream. Again, you just need to give yourself the intention before you do so. Step 3, breath. Now, this is a very interesting technique, a very useful and powerful technique using pranayama practices and PNF-like techniques that can consciously move the nervous system into the desired state and relax you, because that's one of the number one things that, again, prevents people from getting into this lucid state, semi-lucid state. So here's how it goes. Step 1, lie down flat on your back. Call this a supine position. Fully contract and relax your muscles 3 times. You can work from the bottom up, meaning that you're maybe contracting the muscles in your feet, you're curling your toes, relaxing them, curling your toes, relaxing them. And this way you just get out the nervous tension, the atonicness, the tightness in all the muscles, and you're fully getting back into parasympathetic response. Place the tongue at the roof of the mouth and then relax. A lot of people will hard mew here. This will be, again, too much tension. So tongue to the roof of the mouth, just gently, tip of the tongue just behind the teeth, and then just relax the tongue. It should sit up there naturally. Exhale through the mouth, making a whooshing sound. That's the sound. Inhale quietly through the nose for 4 seconds. Hold for a count of 7. Exhale through the mouth for 8 seconds with the whooshing sound. Repeat this 3 to 5 times. Now, don't go beyond 5. Usually you get the results that you want to between 3 and 5. And then after that happens, so I'll just tell you quickly, you'll feel a great sense of tension release. Calmness, lightness will wash over you. After this, allow your breathing to go back to its natural rhythm. Now, you will notice it will be slower in its nature. You're not trying to control it. You're not trying to force it. You just do this technique, and then you just allow your natural breathing pattern to follow, which will be parasympathetic breathing. Here is your opportunity to repeat your initial affirmation from the perspective of it happening in the here and now. So this is your intention. A couple of different ones that I like. I'm getting in a drowsy, suggestible state. So you can see how it shifted from I will get into the state to I am getting into the state. I personally like to use the mantra, my body is asleep, my mind is awake. Very, very powerful. Very soon after, you will experience a strange feeling. This is really difficult to describe, so I'll try my best. Some words here that can kind of tie to this idea is a spacey-like feeling, a light, heady, almost out of body. It's very noticeable. You will not mistake this from something else like getting sleepy. It's very, very noticeable. It feels weird. It feels weird. Once you feel this, you have successfully induced a hypnotic trance-like state. This is where your body is fluttering between awake and asleep, and where you can go through your intention and have fun. And this is where you replay that scene. Now, these, in my opinion, are all you need. I mean, 1 is really all you need. Step 4 can make this happen more frequently, though, meaning once you've had success, if you pair it with some of these, it can happen more frequently, which is really, really powerful. So I've prefaced this already. Scents are some things that you can use to add greater connections with your intention, meaning the body might associate a smell of lavender with that hypnotic trance. So you might need to use a lavender essential oil. It also relaxes the body and can be a trigger to go into hypnosis if you use it enough. The body smells the lavender, goes, oh, we're about to go into this state more easily. Warm shower and bath. This relaxes the musculoskeletal system and calms the nervous system. It also helps the body temperature drop, which happens naturally when you go into these states. Reducing blue light. Usually an hour before going into the state, because blue light inhibits melatonin production, which helps induce the state. You can use blue light blocking glasses. I've got some here. Everyone always makes fun of mine because they cover peripheral vision as well. You can also use things on your filters, things. Good vocabulary, Joseph. You can use filters on your devices, on your phone, to turn off the color. I have on my phone, it goes grayscale when I triple press the power button, so there are no colors. Or you can put a sepia overtone on it. And then last but not least, lighting in general, keep lighting low, or you can wear a eye mask. I use an eye mask whenever I'm doing my visualizations, hypnotic state inductions. So gentlemen, that concludes this system. If you enjoy this video, consider subscribing, and you can also join my personal Patreon where I go through long form videos. book suggestions. There's 2 free books in there as well. There's a lot of great stuff, and it would really, really help me out. So I appreciate yourself. These aren't theories today. These are facts. Speak soon.